The Winnipeg Toilers were really the first major force in basketball in Manitoba, and maybe in Canada even. Like, this was a time in the 1920s and early 1930s when senior men's basketball was really the ultimate level of basketball. It was better than university, better than any college or junior level. It was the best basketball being played in Canada. And during that time, the 20s and the early 30s, the Winnipeg Toilers won 3 national senior men's championships. And they dominated the game like hadn't been dominated before. But you have to remember, the game wasn't invented until 1891 and really wasn't played in Winnipeg until, I think the first game recorded was 1900. So they were the first really force. And even though they weren't true professionals, because they weren't paid, they were definitely a very dominant team, not only in Manitoba, as I said, but in Canada as a whole. And unfortunately, in 1933, their plane crashed in March of 33, and it killed 2 of their team members, injured some others, and that really ended the Toilers dynasty.
So Chad, are you familiar with the Winnipeg Toilers?
Yeah, I heard they had that, they won like the national championship or so, world championship at one of the, I forget what the tournament was, what they titled it, but then there was the tragic accident on, I guess, their return flight or something like that, where the plane actually crashed. So it was, my dad told me all about it, and I was like, that's pretty crazy, right? Like, you win a world title and then something like that tragic happens. Kind of like very tragic loss of life, right? But also an incredible story what they were able to accomplish.
Yeah, according to what I've read, they were a group of young men in the Fort Garry area who had a small, what they called a clubhouse on Riverside Drive, which is still there, and they have a monument there now to the Toilers. They hung out there a lot, they started to play basketball, and they were a very close-knit group. Everything says in the newspaper articles that basically the city stopped that day for the funeral. The funeral was held at the old Winnipeg Auditorium, which is now the Manitoba Archives building, and it was full, and there were people in the streets. Outside the street, they had a parade down Portage Avenue with the caskets of these 2 young members of the teams, so they would have been well known and really had a very high profile in sport in Manitoba, and they would often fill the Winnipeg Auditorium for their games. But they started to go out of province, and that's why they were, when the plane crashed, they were coming back from Tulsa, Oklahoma, because they had gone there to look for better competition.
Could you tell me a bit about the Winnipeg Thunder?
Yeah, the Winnipeg Thunder started in 1992, and they played for 2 years here in Winnipeg, and they played out of the old Winnipeg Arena, which is the area next to Polo Park, where the old Winnipeg Stadium used to be also. And it was too big a venue, and they played in a league called the World Basketball League. And the reason it probably didn't make it was financial reasons. Their travel costs were so high. Most of the teams in the World Basketball League, in fact, I think all of the other teams, other than maybe one, were American teams from the United States. And the team, the Thunder, had to travel a lot to get to these games, and having to pay all of their expenses in American funds made it very, very difficult. So they only lasted the 2 years. They had a good effect on Winnipeg, but again, in the Winnipeg Arena that seated 15,000, they might have got a few hundred for the games. It always looked like very few people. I think, if anything, they showed that Winnipeg, pro basketball was possible in Winnipeg.
Keep watching CKY, and you may win tickets to the next Winnipeg Thunder home game. If you see your CKY Viewers Club card number, you'll be cheering on the Thunder, courtesy of the CKY Viewers Club.
Good evening, I'm Clay Young from the CKY Television Newsroom. Tornadoes and severe thunderstorms have been reported in southern Manitoba tonight. We'll update you at 11:30.
Driving right into the storm, what are some reasons behind rebranding the Thunder to the Cyclone?
I think the main reason was because they wanted to have their own name for sure, and the Thunder logo and name was still trademarked, and they couldn't have used it anyways. But I think they wanted to have their own identity, and they were now playing out of the convention center, which was a smaller venue, which was good because the costs weren't so great. But with the portable floor having to be put up and down regularly, it was a challenge financially again. And they played out of what was called the International Basketball Association. And again, mostly American teams. They lasted from 96 to 2001. So they lasted 5 years, and they did well. They used to call the convention center the wind tunnel. And that's where, and they had decent crowds, and they lasted for a few years, and they had some fairly big names. Daryl Dawkins, who was a well-known NBA player, he actually coached them for 1 year.
The self-proclaimed Chocolate Thunder became the NBA's answer to Muhammad Ali.
Destroyed his second backboard of the season. This time it didn't bring it all down, but the rim popped out and landed on the floor. Looking at it again, watch the tremendous power with which Dawkins rams the ball through the hoop. They're calling the chips of glass from Daryl's broken backboards Daryl's diamonds, just in time for Christmas.
So ultimately, financials led to the fate of the Cyclone as well?
I think so, yes. It just became too much of a financial challenge. And I guess people who have money are prepared to lose money, but only over a certain period of time. Eventually you kind of cut your losses, so to speak, and move on. And I think that's what they did.
As one of the more, you could say, veteran players on the court, how do you see yourself as a bridge between the city's basketball past and its future? Are the older generations melding with the new? How do you balance tradition with the excitement of building something new in the city?
It's really exciting, right? Like you think of basketball and just where it's grown in Canada in the last 10, 15, 20 years. I remember when I was coming out of high school, like YouTube highlights were just starting, and I guess the world game, I guess as you put it, was not quite where it is. But now everybody, a player is good when they're in 7th or 8th grade, right? And they're being brought up. So it's a lot more worldly now. So kind of like I've developed and gone through that with my career. So it's kind of neat seeing all these young kids and just the stage that they're put on at such an early age and how they're having success with that too, right? You guys got guys like Simon Hildebrandt, who's a very young, very talented player, and he's kind of been brought up through that, and he's now bought into it, and he's at the pro level, but still playing at university, right? And just kind of those opportunities are just phenomenal to have for these guys. And it's great watching, learning, and being a part of it as they're growing and going through it as well.
Yeah, like I know Winnipeg has or I would say more Manitoba has a very good basketball culture. I'm a little young, like I miss kind of the Thunder and the Cyclones, but I've just heard about them. I know just now, like we have so many young people who are trying to play basketball. Like the fact that we kind of had this new team is just so awesome for younger people and their development, and it helped me just be able to like work towards something.
20 years old, Simon Hildebrandt. Now Hildebrandt for the win.
I ain't no joke. I used to let the mic smoke. Now I'm standing when I'm gonna make sure it's broke. When it's going, no one gets on. Cause I won't let nobody press up and mess up the scene I set. I like to stand in the crowd and watch the people wonder, damn, or think about it.
Watson Gale, Hess. There's a three from Hildebrandt. Needs it, got it. Simon says three.
Storm, I hook a beat up, converted into hip hop form. Write a rhyme in graffiti in every show you see me in. Deep contemplation.
Watson Gale. Hildebrandt again. Does he feel it? Yes, he does. How about this kid?
Cause you'll be crying at the end when you pretend to be fighting. It'll make you choke. You can't provoke, you can't cope. You should have broke because I ain't no joke.
the Sea Bears can be a legacy like all the other Winnipeg sports teams we have. I mean, look at our first season, we broke records throughout the league in almost every single metric. I think this team is going to be here to stay. I think a lot of the other teams, basketball teams we've had in the past have kind of had their troubles, but I mean, this is a great start, and it's definitely something I think the Sea Bears can build on. And the league, the CBL, is growing like crazy. I think this league is going to be here to stay.
I've played in this league for 5 years now, and then obviously having a team come at home in Winnipeg, it was a long time coming.
As I said, the timing was right because Winnipeg was ready again for a professional basketball team.
That first game, just running out on the court, seeing everybody that I've, like I mentioned earlier, friends, family, all the local people in the stands there in the audience, which was really special to have. And then obviously the game-winning basket that I scored at the end, getting the first, securing the first win for the franchise was really special too.
Now again, the time will tell. Hopefully the novelty doesn't wear off. But the fact that there's only 10 home games makes it not only affordable, but doable. I think having that local connection to various groups within the Indigenous community, the Filipino community, the basketball community, keeping those connections going, I think will go a long way in terms of keeping it connected to the community.
I guess a lot of people probably weren't sure what to expect when they came out there that night, but afterwards, after that game was over, everybody was kind of like, wow, this is good basketball, this is high-level stuff, it's exciting, it's fun. Can't even match the environment in there. It felt like a Game 7 NBA final, right? It was super exciting.
And we have to remember too, and it's so important to say that playing basketball is great, and the experience you get of playing and being in a physical condition, all that is wonderful, but the life experiences you get are unbelievable. Like working together with a team, working under pressure, all those things. That makes better people, makes better employees, makes better husbands and wives, makes better citizens. So that's what sport can do. Sport not only is just running around sweating a lot, sport is the life lessons we learn from it.
Basketball, we attract a very diverse group of fans, and then just being downtown at Canada Life Centre too, it's close to everybody, middle of the city. It's the heart of the city, right? It's really exciting having that group from every aspect of life in Winnipeg brought together into one, and it's really a resemblance of what Winnipeg looks like as a culture and as a demographic. Who's out at our games? It's everyone, right?
Yeah, the fan support is huge. Just when you go out there to play and you have like thousands of people coming out and cheering like crazy, and compared to other teams in the CBL where they're like just trying to get like a couple thousand to a game, we're running out of tickets every night.
Winnipeg has faced challenges in sustaining professional basketball teams in the past. What do you believe is different this time around, and how can the city ensure the Sea Bears' long-term success?
I think that the difference now is just the backing of the league and the way it's been set up, and all the work that's been done by Mike Morreale, the commissioner, and just everybody that's on the ground from the league head office. They've done a great job building the league the way they want, in the right ways, not rushing things. Take Winnipeg, for example, right? It took us 5 years to get a team, but they did it that way because they wanted the right ownership group, the right people, and they wanted it to be put in place in the right ways. And with that being done, you can see just the success that we had here in Winnipeg this year, right? So as I keep going, it's been obviously a huge honor to play here at home in Winnipeg, and I want to continue doing that as long as I can. But yeah, just enjoy it, everything. Enjoy it for the fans, from the fan perspective. Enjoy us, the ability to play here, having this pro team here in Winnipeg, and for the players, just enjoy everything you can, every moment you can, right? You don't know when the last game's going to be played. You don't know when your last season is, whether you're in high school, university, or playing pro, right? It's any of them could be your last. You never know. So just keep enjoying it, keep playing, and go from there, yeah?